What's going on? This is Rico, and this is Old School Productions Top 100 Production Tips and Tricks. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make a killer snare for a top 40 or hip hop track. So let's take a look at what I have here. I've taken some samples. I've got a snare sample. Take a listen to this. Here we go. That's my snare sample. Good. And then I've added a clap sample. And I also have a little vocal hit. Awesome. And then I've added some percussion. Sounds like a bongo and a tambourine in there. Yeah. And then I've added this sound which resembles like a chain. Some kind of like jangly sound. Yeah. Okay. So the next thing that I did here is when I went to my snare is I went to my EQ and I started fishing around to try to find frequencies that sounded good with this snare. So this is prior to my effects. And with the EQ. So it's a little bit brighter. Okay, good. Now, to go to my clap, I did the same thing. I found some frequencies that sounded really good. And there they are. Next. Perfect. Went to my Vox. Did the same thing. Went to my percussion. Found some frequencies that sounded really good. Went to my chains. Found something that sounded pretty good. Good. Now another little thing that I did here was with the snare and the clap. If you notice here, I added an equalizer. And what I've done is I've basically cut out the frequencies in this snare that I boosted in the claps here. So you see 3.2K, and you see here 3,200 hertz. You see here 731 hertz. You see 731, and these have been cut. The same thing with this EQ here for the clap. If I turn this on right now, right here, you'll see here that I reduced 281 and 2.19K. 2.19K and 281. So now what's happening is, if I were to remove these, the snare and the clap each have their own space, their own frequency range, which is good because now they're both leveled out in volume, but you'll be able to hear both of them. So that's the first thing I did, the EQing. Now this is the part that you're going to find very important and you should really work on, okay? As I click the sample, right, I want you to look here, this snap, okay? Some call it nudge, some call it ticks, something like that. I kept the snare perfectly on. Perfect. Now, if I go to the clap, notice here that it's no longer 3.2, it's 3.495. I've moved it over 5 ticks before the snare. So the clap is going to come in slightly before the snare. Most people, when they clap, they anticipate the clap and they end up clapping early. So this gives it more of a real feel. Now, this vocal hit, we take a look at it. I came in a little bit after the snare, so it's slightly delayed. This percussion hit, even more slightly delayed. And these chains, even more, 17 ticks. So you can hear it's coming in a little bit later than everything else. You shouldn't go more than 20 ticks in anything. I mean, really, if I were to pull this back, 12 sounds good too. Okay, so that's it. Now what I've done is I've bounced all these to a group track. Let's go to this group track here. This group track here, what I've done is I've boosted about 100 hertz just to give it some bottom end. Here's it without it. And with it. Good. So now if we look here at this compressor, what I've done is I've compressed the signal down. Turn it on. I'm getting about 1.8 dB of gain reduction. My attack is set to about 34, so it's not a very fast attack. And the release is very long. So what I'm doing is I'm leveling everything out here. And I got the gain boosted back to 2 dB. I've added a sausage fattener here, just to thicken the signal up and add some distortion to it. Notice here I've reduced the gain by 5 dB just to keep the gain staging the same, right? Okay. Keep the volume the same. I know things always sound better when they're louder, but really you want to really get control of these volumes. Good. So turn this back on. And the last thing I've added is a plugin called Fat Bass by Magma. And if I turn it on, all it's doing is it's thickening up the bottom about 112 hertz again, which you see here, 103, 112 hertz. I'm thickening it up. Good. So, this is our final product. And let's take a listen to it once I've bounced it down. Gonna come here, turn this off, and this is what we got. Good. If I add a kick loop to it, I'll turn these up for you guys to hear. Pretty good. Sounds pretty good. Yeah. Alright, here's your killer top 40 snare for your commercial tracks. I'm Rico, and I'm out. Ciao.